I believe we transitions, we made transitions between a world and another continuously. Like now, we are probably moving to another world and we don't know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast with the season Walking in Between the Worlds. Today, I've got the pleasure to welcome a person that I've known for 12 years, I think it will be 13 years this time, Roberto Ricciuti, a wonderful photographer, a very good friend. So welcome, Roberto, and thanks so much for accepting my invitation. So would you like to let us know, apart from the fact that I've already anticipated what you are doing, a little bit about your career, your work?
Well, first of all, hello everybody. Thanks, Giada. My career started in Italy about 20 years ago when I started basically working as photographer after I left the world of IT. And since then, I changed other ways my words. I moved to Scotland in 2013, like you, if I remember well. And we met straight after that. And I basically started my photographer career in UK. That was probably more successful than in Italy because I managed not much about in terms of money but doing what mostly I wanted, that is to live in this world, to work full time as photographer. My jobs spaces from corporate until arts and music, entertainment in general. So I like to focus on more fields, not just one only, because this keeps me much alive and focus on improving.
Yes, wonderful. And you have already anticipated which are the worlds that you're walking in between, which is the second question. So which were and which still are, or maybe they're different ones nowadays?
I believe that life is a journey in which you develop and not you just focus on being a person and stay there forever. So I believe we transitions, we made transitions between a world and another continuously. Like now, we are probably moving to another world and we don't know. So if we wanted to be practical in a way, and the way that I moved, my world was in Italy before with my friends, with my life there with the sun. And then I moved to Scotland where I completely moved to another world. In terms of personal development, I'm surely a different person from since 20 years ago, since 40 years ago. Unfortunately, I'm that old, but even a bit more. But what I mean is that probably the biggest in terms of career is that I studied IT and I was very much in that world. I was working as technician, and then at some point I started feeling that something was missing in my life. And from I used to take pictures in travels, and that it was my passion, and people were liking them. So that encouraged me to try to develop more that field of me, which I was feeling like I could offer my perspective of the world. Easily tiny things, but it was making me feeling better with myself, and slowly this became a job. So my transition was from that world, IT, very like into like computers and office life, and then moving to something that was making me more alive, more around, more looking for something more creative. That's
Yeah.
probably my transition from one world to another.
Yeah, exactly. So, from an internal point of view, when you just merge yourself into the artistic field, what do you think that there is an inner transition when you are stepping into that role, wearing that hat? Does it something change inside you because you tune straight away back into a world, into a role in which the focus is different, your perspective, your eye is different when you need to grab, and you do it in a marvelous way, that moment in which the subject of your photography, if it is a singer or if it is a person in the corporate world, and you need to grasp that element that is highlighting the beauty of the soul of that person or that subject in that moment? What is the inner transition
Well,
that is happening?
yeah. No, the transition is a long process. First of all, like what I do today is very different even from what I was doing when I was starting photography. So it was in a way a journey to discover myself and to discover the inner myself. I think we should go even earlier when I started to listen to a different kind of music, for example. And there was a moment in my life in which I was listening what the radio was passing by and absolutely beautiful songs. But at some point I started to find much before Spotify came out. So it was more difficult to find something different. And from that moment, I started to feel a different myself. It was a way to find out that, yes, I'm a person, but I'm not that person that I always believed that I was until now. That I think led to feel myself more and more used to change. Like I changed a lot of things in my life. I changed political ideas. I changed places. I changed kind of music that I was listening, but also I changed the development to photography. So at the beginning, I was with full instinct. Of course, I didn't have any knowledge, so I was just taking the camera, putting in automatic, and sometimes my pictures were like, "Oh, I don't like them." Sometimes they were exactly showing the moment that I was seeing from my perspective. When the people started to tell me, "Oh, this is a beautiful picture. This is it's crazy. How did you do this?" I started to believe that maybe that was my path in a way, you know. And there was a moment in which I was thinking, should keep this as just a personal development? But I really enjoyed to do photographs. So it was something that I pushed my career a lot on and doing also things that are very different from that very first beginnings of photos, but I still love a lot. Some people like I do a lot of conferences, for example, now, and I still try to find maybe an artistic point of view of that. I know sometimes it's difficult when a person is just talking in front of a microphone, but for me, it's not just only that. There can be the setting around, there can be everything. So to come back to your question from the beginning, what is I think there is a sensitivity inside you that was hidden in myself for a long time. And then at some point I let it going out. And I discovered that it was something that I shouldn't have hidden for a long time, but it should have been staying with me earlier. I remember when I was a kid, for example, something that I don't mention often, but I used to write the poems by
Oh,
myself.
wow,
Yeah.
that's a discovery.
So there was an instinct. Then at some point I stopped. I don't know, suddenly I stopped. I wasn't, but there was an artistic side in myself that I wanted to make. Maybe at some point I didn't feel like I should have continued that. But then after 20 years, maybe after 15 years, I felt again there was a different way to express myself that was coming from my internal side.
Yeah. And now your
And
way
that's
of writing poems happens through the light and through the camera and just
now it's easier. Yeah, probably I wasn't very good with the language. Maybe I'm better with the camera. That's great.
write sonnets as well. And
Yes.
very much paying attention to the metrics. I remember that.
Yeah. I think
So
that's the
is
problem with Italian
metrics,
schools.
sorry?
I think that's the problem with the Italian schools sometimes that they just focusing you to be not making mistakes, to be very around
Yeah.
the metrics and the.
No, well, I was doing that in my free time because in those times I was actually having a boyfriend. I was very young, and he was studying literature at the university, and so we were just making fun jokes and writing to each other these sonnets. So it was very much into the topic. So I just started that just out of the blue. I've always loved writing, because I studied as well literature, but just the foreign ones. But I've always loved writing. But definitely, it's something that I don't know. I mean, nowadays probably I would write down in the same way I journal, but I wouldn't probably write down poems. But you never know. Yeah. And so within this element of paying attention to the metrics or paying attention to the techniques, which is what you marvelously master, and following your intuition, how do you manage this contradiction or not? This is not this division between these two worlds when you are over there in your role.
Well, I'm lucky enough, as I said, because I do a job that keeps me creative, despite maybe sometimes it's not that creativity that I had at the beginning. But for sure, I have much more confidence now that I used to have because, of course, I practiced a lot, I worked a lot. Now it's been 13 years that I've been a professional photographer in Scotland and fully professional photographer since 2021. So it's been a long journey for me, and I don't think they are in conflict, these words anymore. Of course, you always need to be a bit commercial to give the clients what they need, and I think I'm quite good at understanding that. But at the same time, I think my clients appreciate also the fact that I'm not just in framing a person, but I just trying to find also a way to frame that in a nice way and to make it looking as the best. So when I need like to decompress, it's easy. My job is, I think, is a problem of many freelancer jobs. Sometimes it gives you a lot of space, and sometimes it's very full. And especially for me, like summer is always the busiest moment of the year, and winter is a bit more quiet. So in winter, I usually try to focus more on myself, to do the projects that I left on a side because I couldn't do, and to develop myself. That's how maybe these words can
Coexist.
communicate with. Yes.
Yeah. And what would you say that is your definition of artist? Because it's always a definition that I normally dislike when people define myself and they say, "Bye, I'm an artist," as if it was just like a separate protected category to differentiate themselves from the creativity that everyone can get access to. And so I always like to see what's your definition of artist? Do you define yourself as such? Or what are
Uh,
your thoughts?
I'm not exactly an artist. I don't think I am because what I do is mostly working on commission about jobs that the people I expect to develop in a certain way. Of course, I try to put my artistic side. I worked in galleries in the past and with galleries still now for projects, photographs, and I can see real artists, what it means. I think also art today is much about the meaning that you have behind like a masterpiece. It's not just painting a beautiful painting with the perfect, you want to give a message. So in my case, it's not that I want just to develop my.
But your pictures are masterpieces. I can
Yeah,
see
no,
that.
I say that when I'm free from my work, I look for more for that. Like it's not that I look, but it looks for me. Like I feel like I need, like there is a beautiful moment that I wanted to take that picture, and I feel like I need to have my camera around. Sometimes I don't now because I'm not always with them with that when I'm going out. But I believe that I'm more. In my case, I want to say that. I feel like I'm more a person who adapts very well to the situation and catch the good moment rather than to create the moment as I want. I can do that, but I feel like I am more confident and good at doing the capturing the moment. So I believe artists often want to change like they have an arrogance in a way that is they think the job can change the world, but it's a good thing in my opinion because these jobs change the world and they continue changing the world. So maybe not all of them, but some of them are able to do this. And this is what an artist can do. He can use a different language to show the beauty or the worst or the world to help this world to heal from that.
Yeah, but I do believe that also if even with your commission pictures, the one of the concerts, festivals, or whatever, you can change the career of an artist, of another artist like you,
Yeah.
just different field.
Yeah, no,
And you pass on an emotion, a big emotions, just by looking at what you have captured in that moment.
don't get me wrong. I consider myself good.
You are
I
extremely
just
good.
I just feel like that my way is a bit different from the classic artist that
The visual art, the
is the-
visual art.
yes, but all the times that I'm going for a concert, for example, is one of the jobs that I do the most, and maybe my Instagram is full of pictures of concerts. I always get an emotion going there. I always get a feeling like before the gig, what is gonna happen. I don't know. I sometimes I go arrive prepared, but most of the times I don't know what. I'm not don't know what to expect with the lighting. Every venue is different. So usually we have just three songs, for example, and my challenge in that moment is to find a way to immortalize these artists in a way that maybe is forever.
Yes.
Most of the times it's just another picture in the world, but I have pictures that I'm very proud of taking, and maybe sometimes there is also the personal emotion. Like some of my pictures that I felt that they are the most beautiful. I took they had never been used by newspapers, for example. I work with an agency, so that's how mostly my pictures are published. But sometimes I see pictures that I never considered very good, and they are the ones that they've been used the most. So there is one picture of that, for example, that I am very affectionate because he represents. That was at the book festival, and I took this picture of Scott Hutchinson, the leader singer of Friday Night Rabbit, who committed suicide in 2018.
Mm.
So it was the year before he came to the book festival, and that picture for me it was I don't know, it was the right moment. It was the evening. We had I had a good lighting. I found a good setting for with a portrait picture. And that picture I'm very related to because it's something that stays with me. I had the chance to talk with him, and I used to like a lot their band, so I could tell him. And it was a very funny moment, despite these pictures are quite serious. This picture was used widely after he disappeared first, and then he was found dead. So that is something that sometimes I look at that picture, I feel like it's something that I left for the world, but I have mixed feelings. But for sure, it's a picture I feel very much mine. It's the way
Yeah.
that I wanted to represent him. And yes, some pictures are staying with you more than others. Of course,
Yeah.
when you take a
Exactly.
lot.
And before you mentioned something that you are just speaking about immortality, it just came to my mind the poem of John Keats, Ode to the Grecian Urn, that I remember when I studied the literature, because there is this Grecian urn in all the drawings around, and he speaks about, I was actually searching for that while you were speaking, it's a beauty is truth, truth beauty, that is all. I mean, just as a long poem, and it speaks about the fact of course, through poetry, through the urn, there is this immortality because we will remember and celebrate these people that are dancing forever. And so you have the capacity of taking into immortality when you are, of course, capturing that moment. And so as a final question, I'm asking you, for people that are not doing for you what you do, how could we all help others in, let's say, taking the moments in which we live into the immortality through memories, through being authentic in that moment? What's your vision if you need just to stay out of the focus of the photography element, but within the artistic and magic field? When we are making art, and make also cooking can be making art in a wider concept, how can we contribute to this immortality?
Well, I believe that one of the missions of men on Earth is that we want to leave a sign. This sometimes leads to ego, massive ego, but we can leave signs in many ways. We can leave kids behind us. We can leave pieces of art. We can leave photographs that stay, that remembers people how they do. Even if today is much difficult to create a photograph that stays forever, because of course it's something that continuously is renewed. I hope that there is an afterlife,
I just
which we have
strongly
a lot.
believe
We
that as
hope,
well.
and somehow I believe there is an afterlife because there are so many questions unresolved here, and so maybe we will find out one day what is we can live in sense of artistic, what we can live here. I always think that the good thing would be like to live a better world than the one that we're in.
Yeah.
I don't think we are doing this at the moment for many reasons. There are too many signs that we are not doing. But I also believe in life maybe we can have, in life of the world, not our life, but in the life of the world, we can have moments that are repeating themselves, like in a cycle. This is a moment of obscurity in a way, but there will be always light after the obscurity. So we needed to stay strong, to understand what happens, and to be alert about the things that are not okay for according to our beliefs. But at the same time, we needed to keep faith that we can do better things to say to improve this world in our little way. But we can do this.
Absolutely. And where can people find you online?
Okay. So, well, my main contact is probably the website where it shows more on my portfolio and everything is www.robertoricciuti.com. It's not, I know it's not easy, my surname. Uh, Basically, it's the same for Instagram. It's Roberto Ricciuti Photography. These are the two main contacts for me. And you are always welcome to, if you need a corporate event or an artistic event, I can cover a lot of range of photography, as I say, portraits, and I work a lot with festivals. So often you can meet me in Edinburgh, in Glasgow, in person, in concerts.
In between the worlds, Edinburgh and
Between the
Glasgow.
words.
That
And
could
the
be
train. The train is in
for
with me.
next podcast. Yes, I
Yes.
invite all of you to have a look at his Instagram with grid, which is really full of amazing pictures. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, Giada, for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm looking forward in few months with a new topic to invite you again and see wider opinion and definition of all your artistic work. Then maybe you will have more in your portfolio.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I
Thank
hope to
you.
see you soon again. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.